For all of you Zcam users out there, today I'm breaking down my production rig for the Zcam E2 flagship series of cinema cameras. But before we jump into the rig tour, if you're new here, my name is Joe and I own a video production company named Driven Films. On this channel, I bring you honest and unbiased reviews of camera gear that I get to use out in the field, as well as breakdowns of projects and tips and tricks that will help you to improve your video work. If that's something you're interested in, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon next to it so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Now let's talk about a few reasons why you may want to rig your Zcam. Since the E2-S6 and E2-F6 have plenty of ¼ mounting points, you don't necessarily need to rig the camera up like this, but there are a few reasons why you'd want to rig it up to this point. First, rigging allows you to add accessories to meet the needs of certain tasks. For example, if you want to add a battery solution like I have here, that gives you extended battery life, you'll need to start doing some rigging. Another benefit of rigging is that it makes it easier and more stable to use handheld. Having a little bit of extra weight, or a lot in this case, on your camera helps to achieve more stable camera movements, and those micro jitters that you might be seeing in your work will be primarily or mostly eliminated. So with that in mind, we're gonna jump into the rig tour and I'm gonna explain why I rig my Zcam up this way. If you would like to purchase any of these products that I mentioned in this video, I've put links down in the description below, and these are affiliate links, and anytime you purchase through these links, I get a small commission, and this helps me to keep this channel running, and I appreciate your support immensely whenever you purchase via those links. So with that out of the way, let's start breaking down this rig section by section. Now, the core of most camera rigs is the camera cage. The cage not only gives you additional mounting points, but it also provides some protection to, in this case, an already tank of a camera. Now for the cage, I chose to go with the 8-sin cage. What I like about the 8-sin cage over the other options is that it has an insane amount of mounting points. There are several ¼ there are 3/8, and as well as RE locating pin mounting points, and this makes rigging the cage very easy. The 8-sin cage also provides nearly full coverage for full protection. Not that I'm dropping the camera down a flight of stairs, but just in case, having that protection is a nice peace of mind. Now, unfortunately, there aren't many base plates on the market for the Zcam, at least none that meet my needs. And my requirements for the base plate were that I wanted it to first have a quick release system on the top, basically would be on the bottom of the camera or the cage, and in particular, I wanted a Manfrotto 501 plate. It also needs to accept 15mm rods. And finally, it needs to have the option to use an RE dovetail on the bottom. So this is where the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera base plate from the small rig comes in. If you've seen my rig tour on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, you may recognize this base plate. It has a Manfrotto quick release plate that attaches to the bottom of the camera cage, and then that attaches to the base plate itself. It accepts 15mm rods, so I can mount accessories like focus motors, a lens support, and a matte box if needed. For the rods, I chose to go with a pair of aluminum 15mm rods from 8-sin. While I could have gone with carbon fiber or even titanium rods to keep down the weight, I went with aluminum rods since they're still strong and reduce torque and flex or movement on the focus motors, but not quite as expensive as titanium rods are. Now to round out the support system for the camera, I have a 12-inch RE dovetail by SmallRig. Now for those who don't know what a dovetail is used for, it allows you to easily and safely balance your camera on a tripod by sliding it back and forth, and it also allows you to quickly remove the camera from the tripod. Now, the SmallRig RE dovetail has safety buttons or safety latches on each end, which prevents the camera from falling off the plate. The dovetail has a Manfrotto 501 PL plate attached to the bottom, so I can just mount the dovetail to my tripod. In place of the Zcam's battery port, I have the Cam SDI Converter. Now, the reason for the SDI converter is to provide a more secure, professional connection going from the camera to my monitor. The SDI converter simply connects to the camera via an HDMI cable in the back, and then you use an SDI cable to go out from the SDI or through the back here to your monitor. And it also has an HDMI out port on the converter should you need it, but I haven't thought of any situation where I would need that yet. Now, the wiring setup for the SDI converter can get a bit tricky. There are several ways you can do it, but I personally chose to power the SDI converter from the camera's power output port via a cable from Alvin's cables. Now, attached to the back of the Zcam, you'll see here, is what's called the Z-back. Now, this is from SmallRig as well. And the main purpose of the Z-back is to add some additional mounting points for accessories, as well as to keep cables in the back managed nicely. Now, another feature of the Z-Back that I appreciate is that it lengthens the camera, making it a bit more conducive to handheld use. As I mentioned, the Z-Back adds additional mounting points to the sides via NATO rails here, but it also has a back plate right here, which attaches to a V-mount plate. So you'll see a V-mount plate here, which we're gonna go over in a little bit. Now, there are some things I do not like about the Z-Back. Unfortunately, this isn't quick release, meaning that if I need to make any changes to these cables inside, I need to take off the back here. I need to take off my V-mount system here, then I need to take off the back plate, and sometimes I actually need to remove the entire Z-Back completely. So I also wish that there were various different mounting solutions onto the side and not just these NATO rails. Maybe a few RE locating pins and some 1/4-20s and 3/4 mounting points would be great, especially considering that there's a lot of space here on the sides. There are some 1/4-20s on the top here, but as of this point, I haven't found a reason to use this. Now also, I need to point out that when I'm using the SDI converter, I needed to add some additional spacers here. These are little M5 spacers, and these give the back plate a little bit of room so that the SDI cable doesn't hit, so you won't be snagging anything. And if you don't add these spacers, you do run the risk of pressing against the SDI cable with the back plate. Now for the battery setup, I'm using V-mount batteries. And there are two different setups that I use when powering the Z-Cam with V-mounts, but both utilize a NITC battery plate. The battery plate attaches to the rear of the Z-Back here. Now, the great thing about that battery plate is that it has two D-tap ports, as well as two 14.8 DC ports. This allows me to power all of my accessories through this one V-mount system. Now, I'm sure there are plenty of other reliable V-mount batteries out there, but that being said, for batteries, I chose to go with Core SWX. Whether I'm using the SWX HyperCore Neos, which are 98 watt-per-hour batteries, or a larger battery, I've got enough power to last for several hours, and even when powering the camera and multiple accessories like you see here. Now, in the event I need a little bit more juice and the ability to hot swap, I add what's called a shark fin, and this is also from Core SWX. Now, the main thing I love about the shark fin is that it allows me to hot swap batteries, but it also gives me 4 additional D-tap ports should I need to power any additional accessories. Now for my top handle, I chose to go with the NITC Stinger handle. I've used many different top handles from a bunch of different brands, and out of all of them, I've come to like the Stinger handle the most. Camera rigs can get pretty heavy with all the batteries and accessories that can be added, so comfort and grip is the most important thing to me when it comes to choosing a handle. I don't really mount anything besides the monitor to these, and I very rarely use any of these mounting points, so I could just have a regular handle with a rubber grip, but it just so happens that the Stinger, to me, is the most comfortable handle that I've ever used. Like I mentioned, it also has a bunch of various 1/4-20 mounting points, as well as RE locating pin mounts, which helps to keep this small rig tilt and swivel mount from twisting. So you see here, my monitor is not twisting on the handle. You could get the Stinger handle in either NATO mount or the RE locating pins right here, or if you're someone with small hands and want something a bit more compact, you can also get the Stinger handle in a shorter version called the Little Stinger. Now when operating handheld, I like to have a side handle. And this is a little bit unconventional. Most people would think to put their handle here, but I like to put my small rig wooden handle right here, and I have it mounted via a RE rosette mount, which is attached to the rods here. Now, I like to keep this handle towards the front of the rig. As you can see here, it kind of acts like a little bit like a gun stock here on the back, and I've got a lot more support and a lot more grip. Now, if I'm not using rod mounts, I can move this handle here if I add just a little rosette adapter. But personally, I do really like having my handle more up front. I can slide it back and forward depending on the setup. So if I remove the shark fin, then the system would be a little bit shorter, so then I could slide my grip either forward or back. Now my monitor of choice is the Adamas Shinobi 7. While I've used almost every monitor brand out there, it seems, I just keep going back to Adamas brand of monitors. I find that Adamas monitors are extremely accurate and reliable monitors, and they have every tool that I could possibly need, and not having to use a sun hood for once is nice. That being said, the Shinobi 7 is a 2200 nit monitor, meaning I have zero issues seeing what's on the screen, even on a bright sunny day and without a sun hood. It has both SDI and HDMI in and out, making it a very versatile field monitor. When it comes time to use a matte box, I use my trusty Misfit Atom from Bright Tangerine, mounted on the 15mm rails here. The Misfit Atom allows me to add up to two 4x5.65 or square filters, If I want to use ND and diffusion together, I can simply place the filters in the matte box and not have to worry about them falling out. The Misfit Atom matte box has a lightweight carbon fiber flag that lets me flag off light hitting the lens so I can cut flares that may be ruining the contrast of my shot. Every single thing I own from Bright Tangerine is extremely high quality, and when comparing the Misfit Atom to cheaper matte boxes, the difference in quality is very evident. So if you're interested in this matte box, please check out my review by clicking the card floating above my head, as well as in the description below. Also attached to the rods are my follow focus and lens support. I'm still using the Tilta Mini follow focus that I've been using for a few years. It's an affordable and reliable follow focus that makes pulling focus on a small or medium diameter cinema lens much easier. Now, I've tried very unsuccessfully to use this follow focus on larger cinema lenses like the Tokina Vista Primes, and let's just say that didn't go very well. Now, for a lens support, I'm using one from Nitsi. If the lens I'm using doesn't have a bracket to screw the support into, I could simply screw on the included Y support. What I like about the Nitsi lens support is that I don't have to remove my matte box to remove the lens support. I just loosen the support rod, release the rod clamp, and remove the support, and it's also a very affordable option. Now, if I need to use a wireless video transmission system, I use the Axoon Cine E2-S Pro system. It has a great range of up to 1,200 feet from the receiver, and it transmits to both the receiver and a mobile device via Wi-Fi, making it a great option for a first AC setup or a client monitor. To connect the wireless transmitter to the rig, I just use a Manfrotto friction arm. Now, for my microphone, I use the trusty Rode Video Mic Pro Plus attached to the small rig cold shoe mount that I've added to the side of the cage. If I need to go wireless, I swap the microphone out for a wireless receiver like the Hollyland Lark 150. In the event I need to use an XLR microphone, I do have an XLR to mini XLR cable from Alvin's Cables. Now, some may wonder why I'd buy a Zcam, then add so much weight to it. But like I mentioned earlier, I shoot handheld a lot more than I ever have. And personally, I like a heavier rig. If I'm gonna be operating for a full day with this rig, the chances are I would put it onto an EasyRig Minimax. Now, if you don't like a heavy rig, there are plenty of ways you can keep the camera light and still achieve almost everything I've shown here. I want to drive home that you do not have to rig your camera just like this to get work done. This is just my personal preference, and like I said earlier, I prefer a heavier rig. Now, finally, to manage all of the cables, I use these awesome little tools called Sprigs. To use the Sprigs, all you do is plug them into either a 1/4-20 or 3/8 mounting point and then clip your cables into the Sprig. Sprigs are reusable and come in all different colors like black, red, yellow, blue, and even glow in the dark. As a thank you to everyone watching this video, I'm gonna be giving away a pack of Sprigs. All you have to do to enter to win is head over to my Instagram, follow me, and like the post that I've linked in the description, as well as leave a comment. So again, follow, like the post, and leave a comment, and I'll announce the winner a week from today. So that wraps up my Zcam rig tour, and just as a reminder, everything you guys see in this video, you're gonna find links in the description. When you purchase products through these links, they are affiliate links and you are directly supporting this channel, and I greatly appreciate it anytime you guys purchase something through those links. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you. And as always, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon next to it so you can get notified of when I post a new video. Until next time, take care.